Good evening. Thank you for choosing the North State's News for your wildfire coverage. We hope you are staying safe. I'm Mike Mangus. The Park Fire has grown to more than 373,000 acres since starting in Upper Bidwell Park in Chico last Wednesday afternoon. It is 12% contained. CAL FIRE says 109 structures have been destroyed, with another 5 damaged and 4,200 still threatened. Of the 370,000 acres, more than 52,000 have burned in Butte County, while the other 315,000 are in Tehama County. As of this morning, almost 27,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. Here's a look at the Butte County evacuation map. All warnings were lifted for the town of Paradise today, as well as parts of Magalia and areas near Chico. Zones in red are still under mandatory evacuation order, including Bidwell Park and communities along Cohasset Road and Highway 32 all the way north to the Tehama and Plumas County borders. In Tehama County, evacuations are unchanged since last night when the Sheriff's Office split some of the zones east of the Dairyville and Red Bluff areas. Areas on Highway 36 east of Manton Road all the way past Mineral and Mill Creek are still under mandatory evacuation orders, and most areas on Highway 99 are not under any kind of evacuation. In Shasta County, Shingletown and Viola areas south of Highway 44 are still under mandatory evacuation orders. To the west, areas with evacuation warnings include Ash Creek Road east of the Sacramento River and north to Highway 44. Shingletown north of Highway 44 is still under a warning as well. Atlassian Park is closed. Several evacuation centers and shelters have been opened for evacuated people and their pets in Shasta County. The evacuation center is at Bella Vista Elementary School. Small animals can go to the Haven Humane Society. In Tehama County, if you've been evacuated, the Los Molinos Veterans Hall is open. Take small animals to 22005 Gilmore Ranch Road in Red Bluff. Large animals can be taken to Ridgeway Park and the Corning Rodeo Grounds. Both are self-serve. You have to bring your animal food and set up its care. And there's an evacuation resource center at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Red Bluff. The Chico man charged with starting the Park Fire, Ronnie Dean Stout III, was in Butte County courtroom for the first time this afternoon since he was arrested late last week. The North State's News' Max Tedford was at the proceedings. He's outside the courthouse in Oroville tonight. Max.
Well, Mike, the filming was not allowed inside the courtroom today. However, the judge did determine that Ronnie Stout, the alleged arsonist, would remain in custody with no option for bail. Now, Stout is charged with arson of an inhabited structure, which, according to Mike Ramsey, Butte County's DA, would be his third felony strike, meaning if found guilty for this, he'd be facing 25 years to life. Ramsey held a press conference following the hearing, sharing that Stout has admitted to the crime up to a point. Ramsey says the crux of this case will depend on whether they can prove Stout purposely pushed his car down the hill after it caught fire.
It should be only fair to note that he claims this was an accident, that he had pulled his car off of the road and found himself in the grass. Fire started, and he got frightened and left the area. He denies the statement of a witness at the area that he pushed his flaming car down into a gully 60 feet down.
Ramsey says they do not believe Stout's story that he never pushed the car down the hill and instead just left out of fear. Ramsey did share that witnesses claim Stout was drinking nearby before, and says when they arrested him the next day, his blood alcohol content was above the legal limit. However, Ramsey says if they cannot prove Stout pushed the car, he'd still be facing an 11-year sentence. Now, Stout was assigned a public defender today, so the arraignment was continued until Thursday at 1:30 p.m. when he'll likely give his plea. We'll keep you guys updated as this case develops. Live in Oroville, I'm Max Tedford for the North States News.
Thank you, Max. Here's a live look now through the Colby Mountain Alert California camera in southeastern Tehama County, looking toward the Park Fire. Smoky skies filling the North State, but a shift in the wind could change that. First Alert meteorologist Brian Schofield's tracking the conditions tonight. Brian.
And wind is one of those important factors, along with the heat, or the lack thereof, actually, because temperatures are still below normal, even though they're going to climb over the next few days, climbing up a little bit today in the lower 90s instead of upper 80s like we had most of the weekend. So you're still seeing those 90s right now, but plenty of areas in the 70s. That's not bad, but 90s through Ukiah and Willow Creek in the 80s so far. So we've seen some breezy conditions pop back into the picture. We kind of anticipated that, mostly south to almost a westward wind. If you see the direction of those arrows, just kind of follow those along. We're seeing it mostly blow from the south to the north, but there is a little pitch to the west we've been watching since yesterday. That should change, that should shift, and that'll make a big difference. We're also adding in more humidity this week, so those are benefits to firefighting efforts, but you don't often see dense smoke advisories out toward the east through Lassen, parts of Plumas as well, even over to Sierra. Definitely looking at low visibility, unhealthy air, but we'll see that in several other areas as well. We'll take a closer look in your first alert forecast, and that's coming right up.
Thank you, Brian. Air quality experts say you should stay indoors as much as possible in those areas blanketed by wildfire smoke. Here's a look at the current air quality map from airnow.gov. Yellow dots, like in Redding and Red Bluff, mean moderate air quality. Orange, like in Los Molinos, mean unhealthy and sensitive, or for sensitive groups. Red, though, is unhealthy, and purple, very unhealthy, which are in the Shingletown and Chester areas. And maroon is hazardous air quality, like in Mineral and Old Station. In general, you should limit outdoor exercise, stay inside with doors and windows closed, and use recirculating air in your car. While progress is being made, some areas are still threatened by the park fire. The Northstate's News' Devin Herenda is at the Tehama District Fairgrounds in Red Bluff tonight with which areas? Devin.
Yeah, Mike, CAL FIRE representatives tell me the northern portion of the fire in Tehama County is a top concern, and although it's not crossed into Shasta County, evacuation orders are in place in some communities there. And I'm here with CAL FIRE PIO for the park fire, Christopher Young. Now, to start with, which areas are still threatened by the fire at this point?
All areas around the fire perimeter right now are still threatened. Not all of the areas are under evacuation orders or warnings, so things could change over the coming days depending on weather and the receptive fuel types that the fire creeps into. So as of right now, we're just advising people to stay alert and keep up on their zone haven warnings in Genesis. And for those in Shasta, we're going to ask them to go to Alert Shasta and protect.genesis.com.
And can you touch on Shasta County community specifically, like Shingletown or Manton, the levels of concern there right now, areas being threatened?
The level of concern hasn't really changed throughout the course of the fire yet because the perimeter is still active. Although some of the areas aren't in orders or warnings, again, like I said, we're still just monitoring the weather over the next few days and trying to see how the weather changes and the winds carry the fire into these receptive fuel beds, and just monitoring that and updating warnings and evacuation orders as that happens.
Okay, thank you so much. And everyone, make sure to please stay safe and stay up to date using Genesis Protect and Watch Duty. And we have other resources also on our website, krcrtv.com. Live in Red Bluff, Devin Herenda, the North States News.
Thank you, Devin. Evacuated animals are getting help from a volunteer group in Chico. That's next.